guys. How are y'all today? Well, good to see you, Francie. You made it live again, and I made it live here today. It is very warm in my studio today. For those of you in the South, has been a very warm July. And we just got a black roof put on our house. I don't know why my husband chose black, but I do believe it has changed the temperature in my house. It's a bit warm here. So you're getting the hair up, you're getting no makeup, and you're getting just me as I am in my studio. So no questions came in today. So if always a chance of thunderstorms. I'm hoping for one. I hate to say it, but I'm hoping for a little rain to cool things off. It'll make it steamy afterwards, but at least we'll get a little cloud cover to kind of dampen it down. It's just warm here. Walking my puppy well, she's not a puppy anymore. She's 11, or her gotcha will be like Labor Day weekend for us 11 years ago. So, all right, I'm waiting on you, DJ. Pop it out there for me. Let me know what we've got today as far as the question goes. I'm awaiting. But yeah, it was crazy. Our trip to Bartlett was very, very warm. The studio there, the air conditioning was not working for our meeting, and so it was about 86 degrees there. It was joyful. Okay, yeah, I can show you that, DJ. You're hot and a lot of earthquakes up and down the coast there. Oh, wow. Sorry about that. That's a little scary. I don't like, well, we occasionally get a little quake here, but nothing major like on the West Coast. So, all right, we'll go into PEDESIGN and we will import an image. Are you talking a graphic or are you talking a picture? That would be my next question. And is it a cross-stitch design already? Help me out there for just a second while I go pop that program up. Oh, cross-stitch lettering. Okay, I see that. Sorry, my brain wasn't there, but okay. So let me share. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Hold on. Let me share my screen. And you don't actually even have to bring in an image for that. So it's actually not too hard. You can come in and grab your text tool in any TrueType font. I'll do it this way first, okay? So let's just say ABC. So here I'm going to grab this and we are going to convert it to an outline. That's the first thing you're going to do. And then you should be able to come in and grab the fills and then come over and say cross stitch. Okay, so I mean that part's pretty easy. You can use any of the built-ins. You can use any of the TrueTypes. They'll all work. And if you look at it here, there you go. So let's talk a little bit about cross stitch size. There are different cross stitches size. So if you go into your sewing attributes, let's select it. Single is going to run 2 times. Double is going to run 4 times, and triple is going to run 6 times. Okay, so if you want a really heavy cross stitch, you go triple. Doubles in the middle is what I'll tell you. And your size, you can choose point or count. So if you want 14 count Aida, you choose 14 count and it will change that size for you. There is not really an editing function for that unless you do, if we go back to our shapes menu and we say convert to stitches, then you can come in and you can select point and you can adjust those points. But otherwise, it kind of is what it is. So if I wanted to pull these inward, I could pull them inward. But it's a cross at a time. So I'm just highlighting the one I want and pulling it down. There aren't half stitches, there are not quarter stitches, there are not back stitches. It basically is what it is. And that's why I went and highlighted instead of drug. You want to highlight around it so that you get them both points. But you can do that. I mean, so if I want to get this jagged edge out of the jagged edge, I can come in and pull them in. Now, if you want to do that with an image, let's go and delete that. I'm going to right mouse click. Oh, hold on. Let's go to Word and just open up. And let's just make us a document here real quick. And we'll take a picture. So let's say you had something out of Illustrator or something and it was ABC. We'll highlight that and we'll make it big. And we'll make it a funky font. And then I'll turn off my formatting. You'll notice that I do formatting a lot. It's kind of my thing. So I will show the formatting on my document so that I know what I'm doing. All right, so I can come in and take a snip of it. So I've got my snipping tool. I am a snipping tool queen. That is, I have a shortcut on my desktop for the snipping tool. SNIP is your shortcut. And I'll take a screen capture of that and we'll just copy it. So now I can come over here, right mouse click, input from clipboard, and there's my image file that I just created. Then you can go in and you do image, cross stitch, and you can say color, sepia, or gray, whatever you want to do. We'll just go with color, and we'll take it down to 2 colors here. You don't get the cross stitch. Let me change that. Let me see what if I go back into cross stitch here, hold on. You don't get your AIDA count in there. So let's see here. What size are my cross stitches? 14 count is 1.8 millimeters. Okay. So let's go back to image and we'll do cross stitch and we'll do color again. And 1.8 is a 14 count AIDA. And let's see what we get now. And you can say, I don't want you to do the whites. But here, when this menu comes in, this is the upside of doing it this way. You can come in and do back stitches, but you have to manually do them. So these are your back stitches, and you come in and you do you see my little cursor here? Let me make it a pointy thing. If you put that across that line that you're wanting to drag across, you'll see how that it'll drag right there. And you can lift up if you need to. But this gives you that option of doing an outline around them and not manually having to do it. Oops. If you want to erase one, right mouse click on it. And that's how that works. Oh, undo that. Got a little excited there. Let's scroll up. and over. And then the inside of this one's going to be easy. It's a little box. At least it was on that one. This one's got a little, oops. And luckily it doesn't matter if I go over it twice. So we're going to just do the B as the outline. The rest of them I'm not going to do because we could sit here and watch paint dry. You can have your back stitch be single, double, triple, just like the other. So if you want it to run over twice, and let's go ahead and say finish. So you can see that's the difference in doing it an image versus having it be a true type conversion. And this is how it would stitch. I could have changed my outline stitch as well. Let's go a little faster. Yes, DJ, if you use something in CanvasWorkspace, you can use the FCM file and convert it into cross stitch. So that would be like this. All you have to do is go to your shapes. I would turn off the outline just simply because it's not going to look good. And then you can do just cross stitch. Let's pick us a different color besides white, and you might be able to see it. So there it is. But you certainly can do any route that you want to go of those. Okay. So next question. The difference between doing a cross stitch design manually, doing it through the cross stitch wizard, is you do get the back stitch. Without the cross stitch wizard, you don't get the back stitch on there. So that's the biggest difference between the two. There is a program out there that's been around for years that is specific for designing cross stitch, and I don't know if it's still available. A guy named Yulee wrote it back in the 90s. And I'm trying to remember who it was that was so good at it. There was an educator back a long time ago that was super good about it, and I cannot think of her name off the top of my head. Maybe Joanne remembers. Hey, Joanne, good to see you. Do you remember who was so good with that cross stitch program? It wasn't Nita. But she ran around with Nita. I cannot think of her name to save my life. It'll come back to that fish will come to the front of the tank sometime later tonight, I'm sure. That'll drive me nuts till I figure it out. Good to see you, Jolyn. Yes, that's it. Becky J. McNeil. I was like, I could not think of it. But yes, she was really into that cross stitch program. And it exported as a PES file. You can find it. You used to be able to find it in craft stores. I'll look and see if I can remember the name of it. And see if I can send you a link for it somewhere if it's still available. But that one had way more stuff to it. It had all kinds that you could do. Half stitches, back stitches, quarter stitches. You could just have a blast. It was probably the best one it is the best one I've ever seen because that's all it did. It focused on cross stitch and that was it. So if you're really interested in that, I'll see if I can find the name of it again. I do not remember. It's been years since I've touched that program. That was back early Windows days. Yeah, it was way before its time. It was way before its time. But Becky J could make those things. She made that program sing. Her cross stitches were amazing, absolutely amazing. All right, next question, guys. I'm waiting for you here because I I will tell you, I am up to my eyeballs in things going on, trying to get ready, trying to get some video editing done, and trying to get ready for Brother Experience in a couple of weeks. I get to leave for that on my birthday. Ooh, so once again, um, it can do, the only thing that it can't do that Embrilliance does is use BX fonts. That's the only thing that it can't do that Embrilliance does. We do not bring in BX fonts. We font map instead. So that is the difference. What kind of pens, Joanne? But I don't have any that I've particularly recommend. If you're talking fabric pens, I use these, and they do fit in my pen holder. The Sucanico Fabrico markers. As you can see, they're sitting on my desk. To draw names and words, I mean, I have some watercolor pens that I use. What are those? Those are Tombos. I would go with the small, well, the thing about it is generally the small universal pen holder is better for most of our pens because they are thinner barrels. But this one right here fits in either, let me see, I don't know which one I've got sitting here on my desk. I'm guessing this is a small barrel. You want to make sure that it's not, actually it's not the small barrel because it's sliding. Now I'm going to tell you a little cheater's trick about this. If it's slip sliding, if you will grab a piece of paper tape and just wrap it around where it's going to be gripped, that way it's not, well, now I've got it in a place where it's not going to let me in. There we go. That way it can't slide on you. Let's see here if I can show you. I don't see my other spot of it. Yeah, I've got both of them sitting here. Actually, this must be the regular universal. I've got two of them sitting on my desk. Imagine that. But I don't see my small barrel must be in its holder. But you can take a little piece of paper tape and wrap it around the edge if it's slipping. So, but you need your little holder thingy. And if you just put one little sliver around it, it will not push in and out. So depending on how much you've used it, it can slip in and out. So here we go. You slide it in, and if you have that tape right where it's going to grip, and then lock it in place, now it shouldn't slip. So, yeah, I wish I knew which one. My guess is this is the original universal pen holder, not the small one, because it has no markings. I think the small one does tell me what it actually is. But it would be in the other room if I had to guess with my ScanNCut accessories. All right, guys. The big thing with your pen holder is you want to make sure that you put it in the little holder thingy and before you lock it into place so that your tip doesn't push down too far. Otherwise, it drags and looks ugly. So, Mary, mean Mary, surely you're not a mean Mary. So, good to see you. Yeah, sometimes it would make it nice if we had a number or a letter, but it's kind of one of those crazy things. Yeah, you must only have the larger one, Joanne. And I mean, I can get that to hold in there, but I have found that the small barrel works better. So if you're trying to use an ultrafine Sharpie, I would say use the small barrel. I mean, I even use them with my friction pens. So depending on what I'm trying to do, I'll use it with a friction pen. I have been known to draw myself stippling so that I can learn FreeMotion with my universal pen holder. So that's just a little cheater's trick if you're trying to learn how to FreeMotion and this whole stippling thing gets you crazy. I have a file on my computer in CanvasWorkspace somewhere. Let's see here if I can find it. Let's see here, FCM files. Might be in here. Stippling. So there's my stippling design. Now y'all want to know how I created that one? There is a little trick to this one. So what I did, I'm going to hit new, was I came in here and I created myself a shape. And I filled it with stippling. And then I made it bigger stippling because I didn't want the space. I wanted my spacing further apart so I didn't have a gazillion pieces. And I exported that as an FCM file. And let's see here. Let's see what happens when I do that. I'm going to save it as an FCM file, and we'll save it as stippling test. All right, so now let's go over here to CanvasWorkspace. So yeah, taking off that outer piece only worked beautifully. So once I did that, you can make it whatever size you want it to be. So you can shrink it in if you want to. And then come in and make yourself little rectangles. And plop them in random spots. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it, and we'll take it and move it someplace else. Because you don't want your stippling to fall apart when you cut it. Oh, well, wait a minute. If I'm drawing that, I don't need to do that. I'm lying. If I'm making a stippling template, then I need to do that. If I'm drawing it, then let's do this. Let's change our minds and go take off outermost line off only and close it. Now we can take that and let's see what we get here. Oh, no, what did I save it as? Export. Save as FCM. Okay, so now let's pop it over here. Let's do this by date modified. There we go. So now I can draw this one. I can change this from a cut line to a draw line and draw it with my ScanNCut. So that one is a great way to do it. Now, if I bring that other one in, I'm looking at your question, Edna. So if I brought this other one, you're asking me if I could say break apart the line. Yeah, but then it wouldn't have an end cap. Okay, you can't it wouldn't have an end cap on there so that so that the actual template stuff would come out. Let me go grab one, see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see here. So if you look, when you cut it, you want to have breaks in it so that it will actually stay in the template area. Otherwise, the whole thing pops out and you have nothing to trace. Okay. So if I'm trying to draw something into a specific area after I've sewn it together, I'll make my template like this. And then I can learn how to stipple. So I've been, this is how I've been learning to use my stitch regulator. But before that, I was learning how to FreeMotion quilt. So this is how I did it. I mean, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, whatever you want to do. I'm going to zoom in and show. We'll go back to showing you what I was going to show before I got distracted and the squirrel came by. So let's pop this in and we'll shrink this down. And I could just make myself a shape, but this is easy enough. Now, grab it. And let's see here. Let's go into our editing function and let's see if this is what I did. Divide. So now I can pull that out. I can pull that out. I can pull that out. Oh, hello, undo. Undo. There we go. And let's zoom in. Huh, interesting. I don't want that. So let's undo. Let's get back to where we were because that did not do what I anticipated it to do. How did I make this work? Hold on, guys. Let me think here for a sec. Let's grab it all one more time. And let's remove the overlap. There we go. Now, play nice in the sandbox with me. There we go. Okay, so it's gonna, I mean, that's why you do them all at once. But because it's going to create a duplicate. So let me bring this back in and we'll do a lot of them. And if you've got a ScanNCut, there's all kinds of uses for the bad boy. So let's come in and we'll copy that. And we'll paste it and we'll just start pulling it around. You don't have to have tons of them in here. You just want to have enough to where the whole thing does not fall apart on you. And I don't want to make it bigger, so I'm trying to make sure I get my, okay, I don't want that there. I want it down here. Well, let's do a twofer there. And we'll rotate that guy a little bit. Well, let's see what we get now. Now let's select it all and let's remove our overlaps. So then we should be able to come in here and just delete these pieces. And you can cut it out of your stencil. So that, I mean, that's a super easy way to make it go. And you can use your friction pens. You can use your water soluble pens. If you're trying to get in a specific area, that's just an easy way to learn how to do it. So if I'm trying to go for the stencil, I do the breaks in the line. If I'm trying to just draw it on something, with the ScanNCut itself into a specific, just onto a square of fabric to sit there and learn how to FreeMotion, then I use just the simple line. So it was, all I did was in PEDESIGN, I basically grabbed myself a square. We'll do it one more time here. Shapes. And I mean, if you want to do it in a triangle, you could do it in a triangle. We've got all kinds of shapes in here. You've got diamonds. You can make yourself a triangle. But a square is going to give you the most bang for your buck. You can make it loosey-goosey if you want to. And you can make it micro tight if you want to. But if you just want to draw it, then it is super simple just to hit the ScanNCut button, export that thing, and take the spacing down to nothing. If you're wanting to create a template, take it away from create outermost edge only and go ahead and take that spacing up to 1 millimeter and save it as an FCM. So that's that little trick. Who knew I would get into ScanNCut and quilting, right? Oh my goodness. The 115's more, I hope that's the heat index and not how hot it actually is. Because I am miserable here at 94. So, but my room is very, very warm being on the second floor. So, okay. Yes, it would see it. That if I took the PES file, it would read it. You just, yeah, I bet you are, Cindy. That's just miserable at 115. I'm so looking forward to going to Austin in 2 weeks. I cannot tell you how excited I am. 100 and whatever, and that does not count the humidity level. I was very blessed on my trip to Louisiana and Texas that it was not miserably hot. It was cloudy every day. It should, yes, Joanne, it should read it, but what's going to happen is it's going to be a little bit more jagged because it reads it as a stitch and it doesn't smooth it out. So you're better off exporting the FCM file. It does not, I would do the FCM file. Bottom line, I think it will do a better job because it can get a little jagged because it's reading stitch points. Okay. All right, next question. Just the line width. Right, you could make it thicker if you wanted to make your stippling thicker. So, I mean, if you wanted to show it thicker, let's bring that first one back in. So if you wanted this to be a little bit thicker of a line, it's not really going to read it as thicker, but you could change it to a dash pattern for drawing. If you would rather have a dash pattern for drawing, you could. It would take a while for it to draw that, I will sit here and tell you. And you can change your thickness, but that's not really going to do that much for you on the ScanNCut side. But you could do that. It's not, that would not work for a cutting file. That's going to work for a drawing file. So you would want to make sure that you chose that as a drawing file. But good thoughts. You could, there's all kinds of dash patterns in here you can play with. Oh, wow, that's just like a, what is that? thing when you go to the doctor and they want to see what you see. That's what this one looks like. That's just, can you find the pattern within that? No, I cannot. But that's not bad. However, having said that, it's not going to read that as a, if I export that as an FCM file right now, it's not going to read both sides of that line. It's going to read one. And that's an awful lot of cutouts. Why, that looks like a snake. So if we export that file, let's see what it does just for giggles. Test dashes. Now let's do file new, and let's bring in those test dashes. So see there, it just turns them into a single line. So it does not read both sides of that line, even if you change the thickness. That is a visual only. Okay, guys, I'm coming back over here to see if there's any other questions. I'm not seeing any. But guys, hey, listen, so not just that would work. My brain just kind of went here again. So if you wanted to get more fancy with your learning how to FreeMotion, you could actually do yourself a decorative fill if you wanted to. And let's see here, what could you do? What decorative fill do we want? So, and I would make it bigger. let's make this bigger so that we're not using teeny. Ooh, hello. Maintain aspect ratio. But you could, I mean, you could technically draw that one as well if you wanted to learn how to do something along those lines. That gives you something to follow. There are all kinds of patterns in here you could choose to play with. I mean, you could do waves. And once again, I'd make these bigger. But you can play a lot and have fun with that, and just export them as play with. Okay, so Vicky, if you're wanting to make a punch out shape, do you have the paper piercing kit? I mean, paper piercing, if you have the paper piercing kit, I would think that would be pretty easy. If you're wanting to make a punch out shape, I would go with a much tighter one. So let's say we were doing this and you wanted it to be a punch out shape. I would do one of the tighter ones because it will cut the most, and that's going to make it punch out. So if you had the paper piercing kit, so if you change this to piercing, you notice how it's got all the dots, and that's what that's for. It's for piercing. It would pop that right out. And you can change your dot spacing there. So you could make them tighter or further apart. But if you're wanting to totally punch it out, that would be the way I'd do it. But if you're wanting to leave it to have a space on it, you might, I mean, that would be one of those times that, once again, so let's say you went cut and you went with a dash pattern, but you wanted to have a little piece holding on. I'm not sure where we're going with this, but let's assume you needed a little piece to hold on to it. I mean, this is how I'd cut paper dolls. I don't know that you'd want that big of a tab. let's see here what that does. If we, let's see what happens if we weld. No, we don't want to weld that. Let's divide. That would give us the one long piece that I'm looking for. Undo. That didn't do what I wanted it to do either. Sometimes you have to play till you get what you want. Still not giving me what I want. Evidently, it doesn't like to do that with a dash pattern. Let's minus that out. Maybe we can get those minused. And then open that shape. Ooh, wrong side. There we go. That's what I was going for. And then just delete that. And it would still be attached, but not. So you'd have a little space there to where it would still be attached. Okay, guys. It's a slow day today. You have a folder full of SVGs. Yes, you could import those into PEDESIGN. So let me show you that trick. If you go to import patterns and you choose from vector image, this is where you can get SVGs and other items to bring in. So you just open it up and it automatically converts it into an embroidery design, which you can then play with and to your heart's content. It's as if you drew it yourself on that part. And the beautiful part is it automatically sets the holes for you and you do not have to think about it. It will work. That works with SVGs, WMFs, and something else, EMFs. The tricky part is if your SVG has tons of detail in it. Let me see if I can find one on my computer in my downloads. SVGs. That's not what I want. Nothing in there. Oh, that didn't like those. So, depending on how it was created is going to depend on what you see. This one right here is going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. So let's change that background color to something besides black. And you basically have to kind of figure out what everything is. And I have no clue. I'd have to go back and look and see what things are supposed to be on that particular one because I have no idea. So this one right here is my smiley face. We would make that kind of yellow. Let's turn off realistic preview here, so it goes a little faster. Let's grab that smiley face, which was right there. And then you should be able to figure out your little insides. These would be leaves. So that one's a little bit trickier just because of the way it's created. And you don't have really control over that. It is what it is. What is that? Y'all see that one highlighted anywhere? Let me find it. Oh, it's right there. That's a black line. Stars would be yellow. I have no idea what these are. So anyhow, that's more work than I want to deal with today, but it's doable. All right, let's see here. You have a quilt pattern. Scan with ScanNCut size to preferred size. Select rhinestone feature, select small stone size, cut stencil. Okay. But it doesn't work for your larger designs. What? Oh, so are you doing the outer circles, Edna? I guess is what I'm asking. So rhinestone outline, perhaps? I'm assuming that's what you're saying. You did the rhinestone outlines? And the smallest little stones? That's a good idea. I like it. Okay, guys. Any other questions for me today before saying ta-ta for the day? If not, I am going to say let's turn off some lights up here and get the fans going on full blast so I can get back to work. So any other questions? Vicki, did I answer your question well enough? I'm not real. It's been a while since I've done cutouts. So I will have to say I haven't been I haven't taught young children in a long time. So glad you enjoyed it, Edna. Hopefully it gave some quilters some tips to use with their ScanNCut and their PEDESIGN, because it's not always what you're going to embroider. It's what you can do with the tools that you have to make what you want to make. And that's an easy one to do. If I can remember what we did, I will write a description before I go downstairs and tell y'all what we did today. I'm trying to think. We did, all right, let me recap. Let's see here. So DJ, we did cross stitch, right? We did cross stitch letters, and we did cross stitch images, and we did a cross stitch through the wizard. And then we did stippling and drawing. We talked about the pen cartridge, and that led us off to the tangent of drawing stippling. All right. And then we learned how to create templates, and everybody had different ideas on different things. So, and SVG patterns. So, all right, guys, if there's nothing else, I am going to say goodbye for today, and I think I'll see you next week. I will not make any promises. We will see what the weather if the weather holds, and how far behind I am. I know it. We have asked and asked and asked and asked that for some reason they don't get it. Just because I can't buy the kit doesn't mean I can't do rhinestones. So we are still asking for that. If you have any of the BES products, you can still do it there. If you have BES 4 with Power Pack 2, or if you have BES Silver, you can do it there. All right, guys, I am going to say goodbye for today, and I will talk to you hopefully next week. If not, I'll see you after Brother Experience. Okay? We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.